Julia here from JM Squared Vintage. Welcome back to the channel. I am here today with a ship with me. These are all orders that came through over the weekend. I'm filming this today on August 11th, so sales volume has been back up. I'm hoping that we see this trend continue for me and for all of you as well, but lots and lots and lots of stuff to talk about this week. But before we get started here, guys, if this is your first time here, if this is your first time stumbling on my channel, first and foremost, welcome. I am Julia, that is my name. We talk all things thrifting and vintage and the business of reselling on the internet here. If that sounds like something that you might be into, consider hitting subscribe down below. I would love to have you along on this journey. Well, without further ado, guys, it is late in the afternoon. I gotta get these things packed up, off to the post office, so why don't you go grab yourself a snack, grab yourself a drink, sit back, relax, and let's get into the shipments. So the first thing we have here, and this is something I've talked about quite a bit, this is a pair of leather gloves from Gimbals. This is a pair that my mom found. But one thing I will say is if you see vintage gloves at the right price in the thrift, you should absolutely be picking them up, and doubly so if they're like funky colors or have unusual embellishment. These are the kind of things that are usually in and out of my closet so fast, and it's the kind of thing that I like. You know, I talk a lot about how the fact but I don't have a ton of storage space, so these are really small, they move fast. I usually get a decent price. I usually get a minimum of like $20 to $25 on them, and it goes up from there. I've certainly had some that have gone for a significantly higher amount than that. But usually these are the kind of things that can be found pretty inexpensively at the thrift. You know, it's not something that most thrift stores that do jack up prices are gonna jack up prices on. So I just love grabbing them. And again, it's kind of low competition in terms of who's selling them. So love them. I will grab them anytime I see them. I just don't see them all that much out here. My mom sees them quite a bit more in the Philly area because like it gets cold there. It never gets cold here. Anyway, I had these listed for just 1 week. I had them listed at $32 and I got an offer for $28.90, which I did accept with a $1 cost or so at my mom's bins. This brought me a profit of $23.80, and this was a sale over on eBay. Oh, and they are going international, so you gotta wonder where something like this goes when Italy exists. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's where all the best gloves in the world are made. Next up, we've got another little accessory. This is a vintage, 80s vintage Christian Dior tie. Another thing that you should probably keep your eyes out for, especially if you go to a bins location where they sell by weight, these things weigh nothing. And I mean, listen, you're not gonna get a ton of money from ties. This is Christian Dior, so this was probably like $200 new. You'll see probably at the max like $30, $40 for something like truly extraordinary. With most ties, you know, going in that $20 to $25 range, assuming you're getting a very high-end brand. But again, they take up no space. It's a lower competition item. To me, they just give all the Gordon Gekko energy, you know? Or Patrick Bateman if that's your flavor. Anyway, I had this one listed for about 3 months. It's about how long they take to sell for me. I had it listed at $32 and it popped through as a full price sale. So with the $2 cost at the bins, this brought me to a profit of $27.63, and this was a sale over on eBay. So I hope he loves it. I do love finding those little treasures. Next up, we've got this knit blazer. This is from Quince, and this is organic cotton. This was something that they were pushing really big, I wanna say last year in their advertisements. I always will urge you guys to keep an eye on advertisements as you are scrolling social media. It's gonna give you a good idea of what is gonna be in demand from a specific brand. Quince hasn't really started pushing this year, at least that I've seen, but this was like their big push last year. And they're great, you know, this is like something that can look professional, but still is like a sweater, you know, so it feels comfortable, lots of movement to it. And Quince is one of those brands that sells really well compared to the retail value. Like their retail price is reasonable, and they sell for a very high percentage of their retail price, where a lot of things you'll find at the thrift, you know, retail for $300 and you'll get 30 or 40, you know, maybe if you're lucky, 50, 60, depending on what it is. So with Quince, I wanna say that these ran like $69 or $79. And they do ship direct from factory. Every once in a blue moon when I order from them, I get, you know, I'm getting a package straight in from Guangdong, and I'm like, what did I order from there? And I always forget that Quince ships directly from factory, which I gotta say, does save quite a bit of money. As somebody who has dealt with a 3PL and domestic logistics and warehousing and all of that, taking that middleman out not only eliminates like one level of stress. If anybody's ever dealt with a 3PL before in your life, that's a third-party logistics partner. If you're not familiar with that term, you know what I'm talking about. But anyway, is it as nice as the stuff that they're duping? No. But is it pretty close for like a fraction of the cost? Absolutely. So anyway, I had this listed for about a month and a half, had a ton of interest on it. And I had it listed for $38 and I got an offer for $29 with a $2 cost at the bins. This brought me to a profit of $21.20. And this was a sale over on Poshmark. So there you go, right? Like if this sold for 70 bucks and then resold for 30, that's a much higher percentage than something, you know, much, much higher priced selling for that same amount. Next up, this was one that took a little bit longer to sell than I anticipated. This is from the Gap. And to be clear, like you should not be picking up Gap pieces, probably unless you're getting them at bins prices. Their stuff is really nice quality, but they just don't resell super, super high. Though they've been going through this nice renaissance and, you know, their stuff has always been really nice quality, but some of their stuff is like in demand in that kind of scarcity increase space in reselling. But this was a black and white striped chunky turtleneck. It is a tall length, which might have slowed it down a bit. I had quite a bit of interest in it, but even with like the best stuff, with rare exception from Gap, you're really only going to be playing in like the $15 to $25 range because their stuff isn't super expensive retail. But I'll tell you guys, for your basics, Gap stuff continues to be out of this world great bang for your buck. I'm not talking Gap outlet, I'm talking regular Gap. Like I just replaced some tank tops that I've had from Gap. I think I had them for like 15 years and they're still making them, and I bought a new set and they're exactly the same, and I'm like, man, at this point I'm paying Gap to wear them. You know what I'm saying? Like they have proved their value so much that at this point I'm in the negative. And that kind of stuff you just don't see that much anymore. A lot of things have switched to like a slub fabric, which tends to be more delicate as, you know, a baseline, or they're just using cheaper cotton, cheaper jersey, whatever it is. But man, some of the stuff from the Gap is bomb proof, and you can get it super cheap on the resale market. So if you are in the market, you should check it out. Anyway, I had this listed for about 4 months and I had it listed for $30 and I got an offer for $20, which I did accept with a $2 cost at the bins. This brought me to a profit of $14 even. And this was a sale over on Poshmark. Now, it's not something that I pick up to resell all that often for, you know, all the reasons that we just talked about, but if I'm shopping for me, I'm all over it. And if that fits into your profit margin, you should by all means be picking this up, because their stuff is just so, so nice. And I hate to leave it behind because it doesn't often work in the profit margin that I want to work in, but it's really good quality stuff. So if that works for you, you should absolutely be picking up Gap stuff. And watch the space on that, because again, they've had this like renaissance, and you never know, it might be something similar to what like Abercrombie's gone through in the last couple of years. So watch that space. Next up, this is one that my mom found. This is a cute little Talbots cardigan, another brand that is just like wildly nice quality that I don't pick up all that often just because it doesn't resell for all that much. But my mom finds a lot of good pieces back east, and they do always sell quite fast for me. So that's something to think about. Again, if you were going for speed and you're not really going for a higher margin, Talbots might be a good play for you because their stuff is beautiful. Their name sells itself, you know, kind of like a Chico's, kind of like a J. Jill. I find that J. Jill and Chico's tend to go for a little bit of a higher price on the resale market than Talbots does, but I do think that quality-wise they're comparable, and style-wise for sure, similar buyer pool. So this one I had listed for only a month, and I had it listed at $32, and I got an offer for $22, which I did accept with a $1 cost roundabout at my mom's bins back east. This brought me to a profit of $15.40 over on eBay. So again, when something is in and out of my closet that fast, I'm totally happy with that as a profit margin. So I hope she loves it. That is a really pretty piece. That little like shredded detail around the neckline is gorgeous. All right, next up, this is actually one from my own closet, and these are from Mountain Hardwear. And I'll tell you, if you're looking for a pair of pants that can go like casual lunch out to actual hiking, these pants are the best. They're called the Dynama pants. They're pull-on, they're slim leg, they're 4-way stretch. These things are the best. I'm pretty sure in function, these are technically rock climbing pants, but I'll tell you, I wore these to the office all the time. The big thing for me is that for the longest time, hiking pants were always, for whatever reason, fairly low-waisted. And they've gotten quite a bit better over time, but for whatever reason, fairly low-waisted. So like the second you pick up your foot, if you're doing like a scramble where you need to like take big steps up, the whole world was seeing, you know, the upper half of my boot, right? These, being basically rock climbing pants, had a lot of room in the seat. So I found them very, very functional and very comfortable. And again, they have that bonus of being able to be like, look professional. So anyway, if you are in the market for anything like that, the Mountain Hardwear Dynama, I think it's like the Dynama 2 now, the Dynama 2 pants, they're the best. Or if you're like a super casual hiker and you go for like 2 hikes a year and you don't want to invest in something from like Fjallraven that just like looks like a hiking pant, this is a good happy medium. Also keep your eyes out for them because I had a lot of interest on them and they popped off in 3 weeks. I had them listed for $32 and I sent an offer for $28, which was accepted. And again, these were owned by me, so I'm like not making any money, but I got $22.40 from Poshmark on them. So I'm happy to be moving these on to where they're gonna get some more use. I basically just bought the same pants, but newer, and I'm moving those on because they still have a lot of use in them. Next up, I've had this for so long, and this has been on the chopping block so many times. This is a vintage Free People little nightgown, and I've had it for over a year, and I've literally had it out of the closet and in the donation pile multiple times. And for whatever reason, I kept bringing it back. I think it was one of those situations where I had a lot of interest in it, but nobody ever like picked it up. So maybe that's kind of where my thoughts were, but I'm glad this is finally moving on. Because again, you know, vintage Free People pieces just, you know, there's not many around. Their stuff tends to be more on the delicate side. So a lot of them ended up ripped or shredded or, you know, whatever. So this is just a best case scenario for this. I do love picking up vintage Free People, and spoilers, this is not the only vintage Free People piece that we sold this weekend. I don't find much of it. Actually, my mom finds quite a bit more because headquarters is in Philly. It's in the Navy Yard there. So you tend to find a little bit more vintage Free People, vintage Anthropology, vintage Urban around that area just because of the sheer volume of it. You know, all the employees, pretty much that's what they wear, right? Like that's their entire wardrobe. So anyway, I had this listed for, again, a little over a year, and I had it listed at $24 and I got an offer for $18, which I gladly accepted. With a $1 cost at the bins, this brought me to a profit of $13.40 over on Poshmark. So I'm happy I never got rid of it. Again, I mean like 3 or 4 times this has been on the chopping block. So glad to be moving it on. Next up, this is something I actually bought for myself at this really nice little thrift shop that we have in the area. And unfortunately, I just didn't love the way that it looked on me. So we're moving it on. This is from Lilka, which is an Anthropology brand. I don't know if it's an in-house Anthro brand or if it was just a brand that they sold. I feel like it was an in-house brand for some reason. Let me know if you know. But it's super cute. I love these colors. It's got a handkerchief hem and it's really like easy breezy, right? Like it's got a little halter top. You can adjust the ties. And again, it's a tie waist, so it can just be like as loose or as tight as you want it to be. So yeah, it's a bummer that this didn't work out for me, but I'm glad I was able to move it on and move it on fairly quickly. This did have some very promising sold comps, so that makes me happy. Again, I never know what to do with the tie belts, so this is usually what I end up doing. I don't like letting them kind of crumple up inside the tied dress. It's funny, when the girl who picked this up sent me a message and asked me if this was like dry clean only, and all I could think about was, if any of you guys remember Mitch Hedberg, rest in peace, he had this whole bit. He's like, this shirt is dry clean only, which means it's dirty. That guy was the best. What a loss. But it makes me think, like, is that something that I should be putting in listings? Is that something that you guys put in listings, like hair information? Anyway, I had this listed for just 2 days. So again, this was a dress that apparently had quite a bit of demand. And I had it listed for $48 and I got an offer for $40, which I did accept with a $4 total cost at the thrift. This brought me to a profit of $28 even, and this was a sale over on Poshmark. So I hope she loves it. I didn't love it on me, but that doesn't mean that it's not gonna look fabulous on somebody. I'm gonna be real, I need to wear a bra. That's it. You know, strapless, and these, they don't, no. Next up is another vintage Free People piece. This is one that my mom found, and this, look at this embroidery. Isn't that stunning? And the funny thing is, I'm sure she didn't know that this was vintage. I mean, there's a lot of Free People tags, so like, unless you're really paying attention to it, you probably wouldn't know. But I'm sure she picked it up because of that embroidery. It's just lovely. And this is so like 2005 Free People. The kind of baby doll silhouette, the pleating, the slight like army vibe to this, but that embroidery is just stunning. And I'll tell you, this one I had listed and it, I think, got pulled immediately into some kind of edit on Depop because it had so much action there. I had so many offers on it, and eventually one of them did pop through. So I had this one listed for about 2 weeks, and I had it listed for $32. It is missing a button, which I did disclose, and if it wasn't missing a button, I probably would have listed this a little bit higher. I typically tend to get a little bit north of like 35 on vintage Free People pieces similar to this. And I got an offer for $27, which I did accept with a $1-ish cost at the East Coast bins. This brought me to a profit of $24.33. And again, this was a sale over on Depop. Again, I'm still seeing Depop being a little bit more active, which makes me just so happy. I would really love to have that continue to build up to be another really viable marketplace for kind of general merchandise. Next up, this is one that my mom found a little while ago. This is from Notori, and it's a little caftan. It's brand new with tags. And I'll tell you, this one took a little while to sell. I've had so much interest in this, and nobody bid. And finally, here we are. Caftans in general, I think, are having a bit of a moment. I'm hearing all kinds of like chatter on social media about people having caftail parties where you just wear caftans and drink cocktails, and like, to be totally honest, I'm in. So in for that. I mean, that is my future plan. Caftans by the pool, cocktails by the pool, 2 martinis at lunch minimum. If I'm not doing that at 70 years old, please put me out of my misery. One of my dream pickups, one of my dream kind of bucket list finds is to find a Poochie caftan. Because I mean, like, when you think caftan, that's what you think of. The name is almost synonymous. Anyway, I had this listed for about 7 months. Again, it took a little bit of time to sell, but I had it listed for $48 and it popped through as a full price sale. I believe my mom paid about $3 for this at the thrift back east, and with that cost, that brought me to a profit of $35.40. And I hope she absolutely loves it because it's a caftan. How could you not feel fabulous in a caftan? Next up, now you guys know I love these We The Free t-shirts. I don't know what it is about them, but they all sell very well for me. Not Free People, not intimately, specifically We The Free. Maybe it's because they're sold more places and more people are like familiar with it. I think maybe the t-shirts themselves have a bit of a cult following, but I pick these things up anytime I see them. Now, I'm probably not gonna be paying unless it's something really exceptional or maybe like brand new with tags. I'm not gonna be paying up for it in the thrift store, but when I see them in the bins, I'm all over it. I have sold hundreds of them. And I usually list them at $32, and you would be surprised how many pop off at full price sales. It's kind of wild. So anyway, I had this one listed for about 2 months, and that's usually like as long as they last. You know, a lot of them will pop off in the first week or two, but this one sold fairly quickly. And I had it listed at $32, as I mentioned. Got an offer for $25, which I did accept. With a $2 cost at the bins, this brought me to a profit of $19.04. I will continue picking these things up every time I see them. I don't know what it is. I wish I knew, but I do know what the data is telling me, and it is telling me to pick those things up when I see them. All right, next up, we've got this pair of pants. These are from Wilfred. These are the Effortless pants. I've talked about these a few times. And once you get your hands on this crepe, you'll be able to spot it pretty much anywhere. These retail, I can't remember if it's 140 or 180. They are expensive, but they are like the dreamiest trousers. And if you are somebody who wears trousers a lot and you're looking for a pair to kind of like splurge on, these are the best. And the resale price has come down on them quite a bit. I think back when I first bought mine, on the resale market, they were like $120 versus like $140. And now they're going between like 40 and 60, depending on like the size and the color. They come in linen. I prefer the crepe. It's just very drapey and it feels like silk crepe against your skin. Clearly, I'm a fan. And if I ever see it in the bins, I know it's gonna be a really quick sale and it's gonna be a good sale. So I had these listed for just 2 days and I had them listed at $60 and I got an offer over on Depop for $45, which I gladly accepted. Gotta love Depop, and there are no seller's fees. With a $2 cost at the bins on these. This brought me a profit of $40.80, again, over on Depop. I just absolutely love these. If you are somebody who works in an office, you know somebody who works in an office and they have to wear pants like this, guys, hip them into the effortless pants. Next up, this is a little dress from Lucy in the Sky. Now, Lucy in the Sky is a trendy online boutique. It's fast fashion, but they've had a real moment. You know, this is the kind of place you can go to get like club wear, those, if you ever see like Love Island or like any of the Bravo shows, and I'm not talking about like the Real Housewives because they're wearing designer. You always wonder like where they get their clothing. Where do you even get clothing like that? Lucy in the Sky is one of the places where you can get stuff like that. And their stuff used to sell like lightning fast. Again, one of those kind of situations where they would seed to influencers and things would sell out. They don't sell for a particularly high dollar amount. You know, I want to say that this was probably like 60 or 70 bucks. It's not cheap, but it's not, you know, it's not Shein cheap, but it's not $200 House of CB, you know, etc. So it's something that you're not like, you should probably never be paying up for this in a thrift store. This is strictly like a bins pull type thing, because you'll get somewhere, you know, between 20 and 30 bucks on most of the pieces. So I had this one listed for about 2 months, a little bit under 2 months, and I had so much interest in it. You know, one of those ones where I had a ton of offers over on Depop and nothing really popped through, but I had it listed for $32, ended up getting a $22 offer over on eBay, which I did accept with a $2 cost at the bins. This brought me to a profit of $17.15, and I hope she loves it. Again, you know, this is something that is going to be a small margin play. It's a good brand to keep your eyes out for if you're doing like live sales, if you really kind of target the younger demographic, like the late teens, early 20s. And if that works within your margin, keep your eyes out for it. But again, really, I would recommend only at the bins or at like the bins type prices. Next up, this is a little post-yoga situation from Athleta. Obviously not picking up the leggings from Athleta really anymore, but these kind of things do still sell quite well. This one was unfortunately a petite length, so I think that did limit it a little bit. The funny thing is I had sold basically the same sweater. This is called, I can't even say this, it's the Prayanama, something to that tune. I had sold a regular length version of this not too long prior for I think about $40. So the regular length and the black tend to sell better. And I've actually had quite a few of the gray and quite a few of the black, so I actually checked my data on that, and that seems to be what my experience is. I think black in general is just a little bit more like evergreen in this kind of thing. So anyway, I had this listed for about 2 weeks and I had it listed at $32 and I got an offer for $25, which I did accept. And with a $2 cost at the bins, this brought me to a profit of $18 over on Poshmark. Again, you know, with Athleta, I'm just gonna urge you, it's still a really good thing if you're shopping for yourself. Their stuff is still really nice quality, so if you're shopping for yourself, you should absolutely keep your eyes out for Athleta, but if you're looking to resell, I would honestly check comps on every single thing that you pick up as you're picking it up before you commit to buying. There are certain things that are worth paying up for at the regular thrift store and certain things that are absolutely positively not worth it. So just check comps on pretty much everything there. Next up, this is a pair of amazing leopard print pants from Reformation. The crazy thing is I found another pair of this exact pant. I think this is called the Marlin pants. And they're like ankle length, kind of straight leg. I found another pair a few weeks later in my size. So they are in my closet now. No shame, this is a neutral and I will die on that hill. But Reformation, obviously very, very, very expensive brand. Their whole thing is sustainability. It has come down a little bit in price over the last year or so. This was, you know, like a Reformation piece was like $100 guarantee a year or two ago. But it's still a great brand to keep your eyes out for. I mean, it's still selling for a very good price. It's not just quite as good of a price as it was last year. Obviously, economics could be in play in that as well. I think most things are selling for a little bit less these days than they were a year ago. And I think that's a combo of economic factors and live shows, at least in Poshmark world. But I had these listed for just 1 month, and I had them listed at $64. And I got an offer for $51, which I did accept. And with a $2 cost at the bins, this brought me to a profit of $46.60. And this is a sale over on Depop. So I hope she loves them. We are inadvertently twins now, so leopard forever. All right, next up. Now this is one that I've had for a little bit of a while. It's Gunne Sax, which is 100% a vintage label you should be keeping your eyes out for. If you can get your hands on those dresses, some of them are going well, you know, into the multiple hundreds. But this was just a little sweater, super adorable, very girly with that little bib top. And I've had a ton of interest in this over time and just like no bites. And finally it popped off as a sale. So I'm super excited to be getting this on to somebody who is going to give it a little bit of love. Some of the Gunne Sax dresses from like the 70s, guys, money. If you have ever found one, let me know what you found. Did you sell it? Did you keep it? What did you get for it? I need to know. I've never found one of the dresses. It's probably because we've got a lot of vintage sellers here in LA with all the different flea markets. These kind of things, I mostly source at the bins, and I'm gonna guarantee that these things get snapped up in the thrift. Anyway, I had this one listed for about 8 months. Again, it's a vintage piece. It was a little bit of a small size. And I had it listed for $40, and I got an offer for $30, which I did accept with a $1 cost at the bins. This brought me to a profit of $23 even, and this was a sale over on Poshmark. So again, just super happy to have snagged this one out of the waste stream and getting it back into some use. And finally, a little sleeper bolo here. This is a Pendleton shirt for men. This is called, I think they call this the board shirt. It's black wool, 100% wool. This is a 2X tall size. So I'm sure that that had something to do with how quick this sold. Pendleton wool is just such a true standby. Like, this is the kind of thing that will never be out of style. They are very expensive. I want to say that they retail about $200. So they always, always, always sell very well on the resale market. It's just one of those heritage brands that is a completely reliable seller. And it's the kind of thing where this shirt in particular, usually in the dead of summer, this would sell for like $40 to $45. And in the winter, it would sell for more like $60. So you just have to kind of manage your expectations. But this is like, again, such a tried and true forever seller that we can really kind of make predictions like that. But I think because this one was an unusual size, it got a little bit of a higher price right now in, again, I'm filming this early August. But this is absolutely something, if you see it in the regular thrift, feel very comfortable paying up for it. You will get a solid price no matter when you sell it. And you'll be keeping an extremely high quality garment out of the waste stream. You know what I'm saying? I could not believe when I found this in the bin. I could not believe it. And it is in such good shape. Do keep your eyes out though also for a little loop on the collar. Make sure you're listing like loop collar because those are a little bit more desirable. But either way, you know, a long sleeve Pendleton, a Pendleton sweater, like it's just perennial solid seller. So I had this listed for just 2 days. And I had it listed at $70 and I got an offer for $57. Again, that's a price that I would expect to see in like December on something like this. But I got an offer for $57, super, super quick. And with a $2 cost at the bins, this brought me to a profit of $49.89. And this was a sale over on eBay. So I hope he absolutely loves it. Again, finding something like that is such a treat at the bins, especially in Southern California, because who's wearing stuff like that? But anyway, that is it, guys. That is the shipment for today. Thank you so much for hanging with me while I literally get my work done. Again, sales volume seems to be up. We're gonna be keeping our eyes on it. It is still kind of like early to mid-August for me here, I know. So we'll be keeping our eyes on this space and seeing how it's doing. I hope everybody's sales are, you know, back up into fall swing, getting into the holiday season, starting to source for cool weather. But I have got to get moving. So guys, if you had fun, please consider leaving a like or a comment on this video. Of course, don't forget to hit subscribe. I would love to have you along on this journey. But without further ado, guys, I hope you have the most beautiful weekend. Happy hunting, and I will see you all in the next one.